Hello and welcome to Arrow's What Is series. My name is Steve Horrobin and I manage Arrow's pre-sales team within Arrow's modern data center practice. Today we're going to be asking, what is a server? So let's grab our pen and paper and we'll have a look at what is a server. Well, basically it's a device for delivering a service for multiple users. So I'm going to go through a number of different form factors and guises, and hopefully it'll make a lot more sense. Normally when we see a server, it is what they call a two-use server, but there is a one-use server as well. So again, we'll explain what a U is, or a rack unit. So if we imagine a server, if we're looking from the front of the device, we have a normal black box that you would see in any data center. But this time we have a number of options. Now this one, for example, may have a number of storage devices. So each one of these is a disk drive. And again, we'll touch on the different types of disk drives in another series, but this is just a means of holding storage devices inside the server. Next to this, there may also be some further space or additional items, whatever the customer's configured inside their server. And this is the physical layout that we see. So as I mentioned, this is what we call two rack units. So when we're fitting this into a rack, we need to make sure that we have the space to be able to put this into the rack. So one U will be the top, and then the second U will be the one below that. A U is 1 3/4 inches. It's 1.75 inches. There's a lot of technology in computing that tends to jump between metric and imperial, so you'll have to bear with me on this one. If you want the metric, I think it's 44.45 mil, approximately. So this is a server. As I said, we can also have a server in a 1U form factor as well. So you may see that's obviously at half height compared to the 2U one I've drawn here. Another option you may have is the storage that you have on the front of the server. So again, if we have a look at this using different types of disk drives, this one now allows us to put larger, higher capacity disk drives into the front of the server. So this one again is a disk drive, where in this unit over here, these were 2.5 inch drives. These are going to be 3.5 inch drives. So that gives us the capability to put larger capacity drives inside the front. We'll touch on some of the drive capacities in another one of the videos, but these are the two major form factors, the 2.5 inch and the 3.5 inch. So we have our storage space in the front of our file server, application server or file server, it doesn't matter. Now, if we spin around to the back of the server and have a look what's in the rear, then we have the space to be able to install option cards that enable the server to connect to the outside world. So the first thing that we will have in the rear will be a power supply. Now for resiliency, and this is one of those key things about data center class technology, what we're trying to do here is to make sure that there is no single point of failure. The last thing we want to do is to buy a server or storage or networking or build our data center infrastructure and have it fail because we hadn't had a second source of supply, a second network connection, a second disk drive. It's important to make sure that any single component can fail and still maintain the system's operational state. So here you'll see in the back of the server, we have two power supplies. These will be connected to two different power sources. So we have a contingency there in case one of these power sources should fail. And then what we have inside the server is a number of option slots. We'll put those at the top. Now these option slots take cards that enable the server, as I say, to talk to the outside world. So we may put into this a network card, So that could be a network. We could put into this a card to connect to storage. There's lots of other different types of cards that we could put into the server, but it shows the flexibility that we have. You may also put 2 network cards in. Yeah, there's absolutely no problem doing that. Therefore, you have resiliency with your network ports, so you could have 2 per card, and you also have resiliency with the network card itself, should one of the cards fail. You still have an alternative path to make sure that you're maintaining the application availability. Same goes for the storage. That can have multiple paths to the storage, multiple adapters. The lower part of this will then be the connectivity for the management of the server. There'll be connectivity for security devices. There'll be some on-board network ports. Most servers do have what they call the base management, or the starting network connectivity. So we call that the base networking. So this is now starting to build the server. So we understand what's on the front, where we put our disk drives into the server, different capacities, different form factors, and also on the rear now we can see where the option cards will be presented to the outside world. Now what we can do is have a look inside the server. Again, this will show you exactly where all the technology fits inside. I find this very interesting, but I think a lot of people may say, I don't need to know that level of detail, but just for information purposes, then bear with me. We have the 2 power supplies in the rear of the server again, so you'll see those 2 on the left and the right hand side. And then let's jump to the front. We have our storage in the front. So we have all of our disk drives which will be presented. You'll see all the disk drives in the front of the server. And then behind that we have a little bit of space for all the connections, the cables and a few other devices which I'll come back to in a second. Then after that, we will have a row, there'll probably be 6 or 8 fans. So in a previous video when we were talking about the design of a data center, it's important to have airflow through a server. A lot of the components inside need cooling. And that's all dependent on the amount of air that you can push through the server to be able to take away the hot air from the devices inside the server. So if we look inside the server, what we will have will be processors. We'll call that CPU 1, central processing unit, and we'll call that CPU 2. So in a 2 CPU system, we have the capability of balancing workloads and firing up workloads in the 2 different CPUs. Attached to the CPU will also be memory. So all of the applications that we are going to run will sit in memory, and that's very important if you're looking at virtual devices and that kind of application. But sitting either side of the CPU, there will be a certain amount of memory, and all that memory will be kind of attached to that CPU. If we then look what's behind that, that's when we start to get into the option slots. So now we have a riser card which enables the external presentation of the option cards that we were talking about. So the card may sit in the rear of the server like that. There may be another card sitting this way. Again, these could be network cards or storage cards, and there'll be another option here for a riser card, and again another external card presentation, but you see the internal. So this is where the actual work is going on inside these cards, which are providing the external connectivity. So there we have it. We've built a server. We have dual power supplies for resiliency. We have dual processors, we have a memory slot available inside the server, we have multiple disk drives on the front, multiple power supplies on the rear, multiple option slots on the rear as well for our option cards that we want to put in. This is a very expensive piece of kit. It grows in terms of performance from cores and memory. We'll talk about cores in a separate video. But basically what you need to make all this operational is an operating system. So we have operating system like Microsoft, we call it Windows Server. There's lots of operating system variants from Linux. We have people like Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu. And then there's also hypervisors that can sit on top of the server as well, which can enable the server to deliver multiple applications in multiple virtual machines. And again, we'll talk about hypervisors in a separate video. But hypervisors, things like VMware, there's Microsoft Hyper-V, there's KVM, there's a multitude of different hypervisors. So in summary, what is a server? This is a device for providing access to multiple users for the services that are based on the server technology. This can be application serving, it can be storage serving, it can be file-based serving. But these devices, designed to a 2U form factor or a 1U form factor, providing all the necessary connectivity that we need to the outside world, providing dual power supply support, dual CPU support, all the memory support, all the airflow that I mentioned as well. So we have the airflow going through the fans out of the rear of the systems. I should have put that on earlier, excuse me. So you can see a very, very flexible device. So I hope that's brought you up to speed on what is a server. I thank you very much for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next Arrow What Is video. Thank you.